What if I told you that Gemini Rising people are some of the most misunderstood souls in astrology? Yes, I have a lot of Gemini Rising people around, so playful, witty, and talkative, but underneath, their whole world of resilience, curiosity, and heart. In this video, we'll explore the Gemini Rising sign through childhood experiences, the ups and downs of communication, their appearance and style, their marriage patterns, and yes, even the celebrities who embody this energy, from Drew Barrymore to Hillary Clinton. And if, like me, you are on this journey of learning astrology, then let's dive in and see what makes a Gemini Rising such a fascinating force in astrology.
Some of us just Google ask the stars, trading algorithms for cosmic memoirs. Slow living vibes beneath moonlit bars. It's way more fun on Talks by the Stars.
Let's be honest, we always love Gemini Rising people and forgive them a lot of things because without them, our life would be way too boring. But the Gemini Ascendant personality is often misunderstood. People think they got them figured out in 5 minutes, but really they're only seeing their surface. It began in childhood. The Gemini Rising personality often feels most at the home in a noisy environment, TV buzzing, phones ringing, siblings running through the house. Even during pregnancy, many mothers of Gemini Rising kids were surrounded by conversation, teaching, or constant activity. Words and motion become their safe space. As children, they trust their friends, classmates, or siblings to protect them, and even gadgets like bikes, books, or early phones make them feel in control. But here's the challenge of the psychology of Gemini Rising. When those supports break down, it shakes their whole world. This is one of the big Gemini Rising pros and cons. They thrive when communication flows, but they can feel scared or anxious when it doesn't. Here the twist of Gemini Rising astrology. People project all kinds of things onto you. One day you're the fun girl next door, and the next day someone swears your Gemini Rising personality looks like a little too sharp or distant. Misunderstanding, silence, or betrayal cut deep, sometimes pushing them into fantasy, destruction, or even bad habits. So, what the Gemini Rising signs mean in everyday life? It means your voice, both your shield and your medicine. One of the classic Gemini Rising traits is being bridge, someone who can open conversations, connect people, and turn complicated things into something anyone can understand. A powerful example is Drew Barrymore. With her Gemini Ascendant sign, she grew up surrounded by scripts, cameras, and endless voices. That chaotic environment gave her safety at first, but then those connections broke down. She fell into escapism and addictions, showing the shadow side of Gemini Rising trail. Yet her comeback is pure Gemini Rising magic. Through her books, interviews, and her own talk shows, she rebuilt her voice and her world. My best friend has a Gemini Rising sign, which gives her an energy that feels instantly familiar, like you already met her somewhere before. A Gemini Rising woman can walk into a fancy gala or grab a letter at the Starbucks, and strangers will still strike up a conversation. That's the charm of the Gemini Rising appearance. It's youthful, approachable, and full of life. A Gemini Rising woman often keeps a youthful face even as she ages. Eyes are bright and darting, and it's scanning the road for the next story. Look for bright, curious eyes that spark like they're always in a joke, eyebrows that dance around when she talks, and a quick, playful smile that makes everyone feel at ease. The Gemini Rising physical appearance is usually slim to medium build with a long arms and quick movements, gestures that sometimes talk louder than the actual word. If you want to know how to spot a Gemini Rising, just look for the person who always seems restless, ready to move, connect, and discover something new. Just think about Mindy Kaling. Her wit, quick humor, and approachable vibe are pure Gemini Rising personality traits. She can make you laugh while also making you think, which is exactly how Gemini Rising works. Always curious, always engaging, and always ready to turn a conversation into connection. The Gemini Rising beauty is never stiff or boring. It's quick, modern, and has just enough unpredictability to keep everyone guessing. A Gemini Rising woman looks like she could head from brunch to a meeting to a road trip without even changing her vibe. Michelle Pfeiffer showed this perfectly, balancing elegance with a youthful spark that never seems to fade. When it comes to Gemini Rising outfits, it's all about comfort mixed with clever details. Think sneakers with jeans, a blazer over a playful tee, or a flowy skirt with the patterns that make you smile. Hands are always a start for Gemini Rising women, so rings, bracelets, or cheek watch highlights every gesture. Julianne Moore has this look, effortlessly pulled off outfit that's smart, approachable, and just a little unpredictable. The Gemini Rising makeup's look is all about flexibility. Nude gloss in the morning, bold eyelid in the night. Their eyes tell the whole story, sparkling with curiosity and framed by playful colors. A Gemini Rising woman loves switching it up. One day fresh and natural, the next bold and dramatic, yet always approachable. Mandy Moore captures this vibe with glowing skin, expressive eyes, and lips that change as quickly as the mood. Gemini Ascendant indeed means you're here to explore lifeful worlds, ideas, and constant connections. In Gemini Rising astrology, your biggest strength is adaptability. You can step into almost any situation, learn fast, and find common ground with people. Communication is your lifeline. Whether through writing, speaking, teaching, or even just sharing stories, you give to turn information into something others can use. Your mind is your sharpest tool, and your mission is to make complicated simple, explaining, connecting, and translating so others can see more clearly. A Gemini rising career often flourishes in teaching, writing, media, or any field where words and ideas can travel far. But the shadow side comes when you scatter your energy, promise too much, or lose yourself in illusion. So, how to heal the Gemini rising? By remembering that your task is not to be the loudest or smartest, but the clearest and the most purposeful voices in the room. A beautiful example of this is Hillary Clinton. Growing up in Illinois, she was surrounded by constant conversation about community, politics, and fair, an environment that pushed her to listen, learn, and speak up early in life. She had to adapt quickly, navigating school, activism, and later the high-stakes world of the Washington. Today, Hillary's ability to connect with people on issues of justice, equality, and leadership taught the truth Gemini rising personality trail, turning curiosity, adaptability, and communication into a bridge that brings people together. I'll tell you a secret. which I often saw in real life. Gemini Rising descended on Sagittarius doesn't always point strength to marriage and long-term life. What does this mean? Your Gemini ascendant spouse is often bold, adventurous, and allergic to boredom. This is not the partner who wants to sit still and watch life pass by. Think of the teacher, traveler coach, musician, philosopher, or even someone who's always chasing the next big dream. In Gemini ascendant marriage life, adventures, the fuel that keeps love alive. Vacations, new courses, big family goals, these things keep the spark burning. Routine, on the other hand, is what can quietly kill the connection. Both you and your partner need freedom inside their relationship, which might sound risky, but for you it's actually that keeps the marriage steady. Honesty is also key. Your partner usually prefers to speak straight from the heart. And yes, such bluntness can come off a little too sharp. But let's be real, it's not always easy. When the Gemini rising woman truly embraces her Gemini ascendant marriage life, she finds that love about sharing meaning. Check-ins, shared adventures, laughter, and a sense of bigger purpose together. And for a perfect real-life example, just look at Helen Mirren. She's a Gemini ascendant who didn't rush into marriage. She spent years living independently, dating and growing, sometimes in the chaos of short romance, but then she met American film director Taylor Hackworth. They married in 1997 after over a decade together. Taylor has been his constant source of support, walking red carpets at her side, joining her on travel around the world, and even showing up often in her Instagram posts. If I seen a Gemini rising man, I picture a witty, a little restless man, like you're ready to talk, laugh, or catch on the next adventure. The Gemini rising physical appearance often shows up in a lean or medium build, with quick, agile movements that make him look like she always on the go. The Gemini rising appearance in men is always carry a spark of youth no matter their age. Their faces are never boring. Smile, smooth, raised brown. It's a moving picture. Matthew McConaughey is a great example. With his playful grin and ever-changing expression that keep you guessing what line she about drop. And when it's come to movement, nobody shows the Gemini ascendant vibes better than LeBron James. Fast, flexible, and using those long arms and hands like they're extension of his mind. And honestly, if you date one, don't bother asking, where are we going? He probably changed the plan 3 times while tying his sneakers. So here's the bottom line. The Gemini rising personality is about more than quick jokes and restless energy. It's about using words as medicine. Connection is superpower, and curiosity as a way to heal and grow. Whether you saw yourself in celebrities' adventurous life stories, you know that the Gemini rising energy is never dull. Now I want to hear from you. Do you feel the similarity with your own ascendant in Gemini? Or maybe with someone close to you who has it? Drop me a comment. I love to read your stories because trust me, life without astrology would be just boring as life without Gemini rising. Follow Toy with the Stars and let's keep growing together.
Some of us use Google as the stars, trading algorithms for cosmic memoirs. Slow living vibes beneath moonlit bars. It's way more fun on talks by the stars.